French Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne has resigned as part of a government reshuffle. President Emmanuel Macron has not yet named a successor. Borne will continue in her duties until a new government is announced in the coming days. Borne was only the second woman prime minister to serve in French history. Her resignation, it comes amid political tensions over immigration policies. I want to bring in Cole Stangler now. He's a freelance journalist who's based in Marseille. Cole, give us more background here, the reason for this resignation.
So I think there are a couple of things. There's one more short-term reason and one more long-term structural reason. The short-term reason is that immigration reform that you just mentioned, this bill that was passed last month, a very harsh bill that was celebrated by the far right, Marine Le Pen, as a ideological victory for her party, a bill that clamps down really on the rights of immigrants and foreign people living on French soil, clamping down on birthright citizenship, making it harder for foreigners to access social welfare programs. So that bill caused a lot of friction, but it was also the way that the bill got passed. When that harsh version of legislation was coming to the National Assembly, which President Macron's party has a relative majority in the National Assembly, you had deputies in Macron's own coalition that were expressing reservations, doubts about this very harsh piece of legislation. And you had the far right National Rally saying they're ready to vote for it. And the government went ahead with the bill anyways, relying on those 88 far right votes to get the bill crossed. And that point, I think points to this other bigger structural issue, which I was going to mention, is the fact that Macron's coalition does not have an absolute majority in the National Assembly, and so it's difficult to really get things done, to put it quite simply. Elisabeth Borne, over her 18 months, was struggling to get things through the National Assembly, where Macron's party doesn't have a very solid majority.
Okay, so she's gone. Macron still has this term to serve out. So what happens next? I mean, looking from the outside, tell us, why is this a big story?
Well, it's a big story because I think really that structural reason, I think, is the most important factor here. Whoever is going to succeed Elisabeth Borne is still going to be facing the same difficult situation, in which the core challenge is, how do you get legislation across the finish line when you don't have an absolute majority in the National Assembly? One way to do it is to try to lean more and more to the right. And that's been the approach of Macron since his re-election, since those legislative elections in 2022. One way to do it is to lean on more and more on the right. And we've seen that happen over the course of his second term. You see it in the language that he uses. We saw it in this immigration bill. And that's, I think, one thing to look at, the potential drifting more and more to the right. But I think the ultimate thing is, there's not, whoever succeeds Borne is going to be facing with the same structural issue. And it could get even exacerbated when you have those European elections, of course, coming up in June of this year. Yeah. What happens if the far right does well there? Could we potentially have to have new elections in France? That's the question a lot of people are asking. Again, whoever succeeds Borne.
Very good point. Journalist Cole Stangler there with the latest from Marseille. Cole, thank you.
Thank you.